Because it looks like he didn't have any stats.
No, he didn't. He was in there for 25 seconds. So,
Yeah.
but all right. So Miles Kelly, the savior of the day. I will say, watching the entire game, Tech honestly didn't deserve to win this at all. It was such a sloppy game. The difference is truly that Georgia State shot 2 of 14 from 3.
I said last time we talked in this forum
Yeah.
that this was going to be one of those trap games.
Yes, and
Georgia State always plays as hard. They have the last 2 years.
yeah, this is the only game in the past 2 years, like in the three. This was a 3-game series in the past 3 games that didn't go to overtime, and that one we were referring to in 2020 was 4 overtimes.
Yes, mind you, that was without fans in the stands or
Yes,
whatever.
but even still,
But still, I mean it.
yes,
Um,
it's
so I wasn't able to watch the game tonight.
yeah.
What did you see as a whole from the Yellow Jackets tonight?
I didn't like what I saw from Rodney Howard. It very like Rodney Howard is a very frustrating player, anyways. But in term like they used him differently than how they have in the past. I feel like they used him to trap a lot.
Okay.
Because of the length, and it's like, so they do a quick trap. If they get the pass off, he just sprints back. They had like Davon or somebody help down low, but I mean the starting lineup was 3 guards and Debo and Rodney, which was interesting.
I mean, would you even say that Debo is a guard? Like, is he a guard, or is he a wing? I mean, what I see on the stat sheet here, he's listed as a guard, but I think Debo's more of a 3.
Yeah, that's where I put him.
4.
That's pretty much where I'd put him. But the thing is, it's like on offense, how he plays, at least when Sturdivant and Davon are off the floor, is he's like the point guard. He's just the guy that creates. I will say, like Miles Kelly had like a fantastic game. Debo got to the line. I will say the 9 for 13 on free throws, all 4 misses were on 2 trips. He missed both ends, which was interesting. Sturdivant was not on from free throws, 1 for 4, but the difference was like this. So what they were saying before the game was that Georgia Tech needs to use their size to their advantage, and that's just not what happened. Because as you'll look, I mean, Rodney Howard had 3 rebounds, but
I listened to bits and pieces of the game here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I was at work tonight. I was sort of watching along at work a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought these announcers were awful.
I totally agree. They were terrible.
I thought they were fucking terrible. And am I allowed to curse on here?
Try to limit it. I'm trying to make it lower, but yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought they were just terrible.
No, yeah, they will say it was a Sunbelt stream, but
they said all this stuff about Georgia Tech using their size and whatnot, but Georgia Tech doesn't have a lot of size.
I will say neither does Georgia State, in all honesty.
Neither does State. Because it looks like their center was phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, no, he killed us. It's like it was offensive rebounds. He's been off 6 offensive rebounds, and Rodney Howard had 3 rebounds total.
Yeah. It looks like Rodney Howard, at least from the stat sheet, was pretty much a 0 for this team.
Yeah. He was, I will say, up until that period where there was the final 12 minutes, he played all 12 minutes. Him, Miles Kelly, and Debo played all 12.
Yeah, and
Jalen Moore. There was 4 of them. It was Lance Terry and Tristan Maxwell that switched in between.
Speaking of Maxwell, what did you think of him tonight?
I don't remember his 3-point attempts, which is weird. But I think I remember one of them, and I didn't have an issue with the shot. And his 2 points came off of him attacking the glass. From a defensive standpoint, he played pretty solid. He wasn't bad. So,
yeah, I mean,
I really like Jalen Moore though. Jalen Moore He's going to be really good for us this year. Because, I mean, he only had 7 points. He didn't really play. I mean, he had 18 minutes, and 12 of them were those final 12. And he looked like he had a mid-range jump shot, and he shot it with confidence. He had a pump fake 3. Like, he looked like he wanted to shoot it, too. So, it's like he wants to be a scorer, too. But on defense, he was really, really good.
And I expect him to be good on defense. He just has these physical gifts that you can't teach.
Exactly.
He's big, he's long, he's tall. I mean, he moves well. That's just something that you can't teach. You can't teach athleticism and just being able to stay in front of the ball.
That's what I saw last year. It's like, and that's something.
Yeah. If the offensive game can sort of fine tune itself a little bit, Jalen Moore's going to be really good.
Yes.
Because I think he's only a sophomore this year.
Yes, he is. He came in with Debo and Miles.
Yeah. I mean, so Debo's a sophomore and Miles Kelly's a sophomore. The future is brighter than I had once thought.
Yes.
Yeah. And, if you can... I mean, next year, this team may be really, really scary with... Davon going into his senior year, whatever we get out of the transfer portal, because I think we only have 2 seniors on the roster, or
Sturdivant,
3 or 4 that really play.
Yeah,
but I don't think any of them are our 4 best players either.
They're guys who are impactful, but they're not like
And you can always find experienced guys that are impactful through the transfer portal, and I think that's something Pastner did a very good job of this year.
Is Lance Terry and
Javon Franklin too.
Yeah.
What did you see, if anything, out of Franklin tonight?
Franklin, he didn't play all that much, and I realized he's an undersized. I didn't know that he was undersized. He's 6'7". I didn't realize that. But for being an undersized center, he did solid. I mean, there wasn't, like, nothing stood out to me per se, but nothing was like, oh, I don't like this guy. It was more, okay, he's there. It's just, as more playing time comes, we'll see more. I'll see more of him, because I only saw 11 and a half minutes of him. He's not, because I don't know what changed in Pastner's mind that we don't run Davon. And honestly, Sturdivant benching made sense to me because he wasn't playing well at all. Because 2 turnovers is uncharacteristic for him.
I see on the box score he had the worst plus minus from both teams.
Yeah,
at a minus 16. The next lowest looks like it was -7.
Yeah, for their center, but he didn't. He from their starting center, but their bench center outperformed him, so that didn't matter.
Yeah, but it's
he didn't have a good night. As you see, Rodney Howard had an awful night. 5 turnovers.
But Howard's plus minus was
8,
the second highest in the whole game,
which is it's incredible to me. And yes, he had 4 fouls, and I didn't realize he had 4. That was the only guy truly in foul trouble. Oh, Javon Franklin had 3 fouls. That's why. That makes more sense. I didn't think about that.
Gotcha.
But
why did Sturdivant look bad tonight? What did you see that was different from what he normally does? Because he's normally almost like a calming presence to a team that's as young as this one is. He's going to take care of the ball. He's going to make the right decision. He's going to play solid defense, and he's going to knock down his open shots. What went wrong for Sturdivant tonight?
I see it as he just got flustered early, in a sense. Like, those 2 free throws pretty much were just, like, kind of setting the tone. Because he had 2 free throws early. The refs were pretty bad in this game. It was a lot of ticky-tack. It was both ways, thankfully. But it was very ticky-tack the entire game. Tech was in the double bonus, I believe, with 9 minutes left in the second half.
And how do you think that influenced them coming out to a win tonight, if at all?
I think that they realized that they can play more physical on offense and get away with it. Because there was one where Debo should have been called for an offensive foul. He was trying to post up the guy. Guy wouldn't back down, and he basically hit him in the face. And the guy who got hit in the face got the foul. And it was a lot of kind of like that all night. Near the end of the game, Miles Kelly got the ball tipped from him, and it clearly went off of Miles Kelly's hand, and they gave it back to Tech, and I believe Tech scored off of it. So
yeah, I was watching those last several possessions at work.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Miles Kelly was very good on the ball again, like I said,
yes.
he was the other night.
Yes, he was.
Now, hopefully, this isn't just sort of a flash of what we're going to get from him, but this is the Miles Kelly we're going to get.
Yeah, it's very different from last year where he was just catch and shoot. He's
yes.
very, like, last year, how he earned his playing time was he became this guy who was very solid on defense and could shoot, and that's all we really needed for that team last year because DeVoe could score and Usher could score.
I mean, he was probably the fourth ball handler on that team when he was in the game.
Yeah, and this year now he's getting to really show it, and I love him if he would start, but I think it's better for him to come off the bench, and I think he's more impactful because we have that secondary guy coming off the bench, and what the Tech guards, I will say, I got to give it to Davon, Miles Kelly, and Sturdivant. They all attacked the basket really well and looked to be physical down low, and I feel like that's what got their bigs in foul trouble because they had 3 guys with 4 fouls, and none of their guys that played had less than 2. They got them into foul trouble and understanding what these refs were calling, and knew kind of what they could get away with, and posted up because Sturdivant's known to post up other people all the time. He does it.
Sturdivant's just a big, sturdy guard. He's big enough to back smaller guards down.
Yes.
I don't know his height and weight off the top of my head, but if you've never seen him in person, he's a big dude. He can use that to his advantage a lot, especially since he's not just a phenomenal scorer or a phenomenal shooter. He's got some shooters around him he can.
6'2", 197.
Really, that's it?
Yes. Also, if you look up Kyle Sturdivant height and weight on, because that's the default thing. It's Kevin Hart's picture, which is very interesting. But yeah, that's it. That's what he's been kind of known to do, is he'll post up a guard because he's usually bigger than them. But him and Davon were both attacking bigs on post ups to do fadeaways, and they did a good job at it. Davon's shooting stats don't line up with it, but he did really well with it.
Well, for me with Davon, if he can get into the post, he's just able to. Davon is athletic enough just to rise over somebody. He can just jump higher.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's not what you're going to teach fundamentally, but if he can do it, let him do it.
Yes.
I think Davon is going to be the X factor for this team going down the stretch, especially in ACC play when other guards get faster and more physical than what we're going to see against a Georgia State or a Clayton State. You're going to need Davon Smith to play awesome defense. I mean, you don't really need him to be you don't need him to be one of your primary contributors on offense.
Yeah,
if he's playing good defense.
You don't need him to be the Michael DeVoe in a sense.
No.
You need him to be
you need Davon Smith to be Davon Smith.
Yes, you do. And coming into the season, Davon was honestly the biggest question because we saw the flashes last year, and it's just, could he slow down? And he's done a much better job. He slows down more than he speeds up, but he speeds up at the right times.
Yeah.
Or he'll speed up, get it to the 3-point line, and be like, I have nothing, let's reset. That's what's going to change the identity of this team, is instead of always playing fast, I will say this season they seem like they play much faster than they have in years past. And I don't know whether that's because there's more ball movement or...
I think it's just because DeVoe was not a guy that...
played fast.
Yeah, I mean, DeVoe was get it into the half court and sort of pound the rock for 20 seconds.
Find something that you like, which is the Princeton. But this...
Yes.
It's seeming like it's becoming much less of the Princeton and more just kind of like a system, because there's obviously the Princeton implemented, but there's looks to attack and so they figured out that if they ran off the screen and Rodney handed it off, that they could set up into some sort of ISO or something to set up something with a backdoor cut, which Tech is known to do also quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I will say Rodney Howard, he did have the 5 turnovers, most of those off of dribbling, but off his passing was great, to be honest.
Yeah, I've always thought Howard was an okay or
above
a good passer.
Yeah,
I think he's a good big man passer. He's not great or anything, but
it's when he dribbles is the scary part. I'd say.
But when Rodney Howard is passing the ball out of that little elbow spot from the Princeton, we're not holding our breath.
Yes.
There have been some bigs at Georgia Tech where you sort of hold your breath when they pass the ball from there. James Banks, as phenomenal as he was, I hated seeing him with the ball anywhere outside of 3 or 4 feet.
Yes. I feel like the last center, besides Moses Wright, even though Moses Wright wasn't truly a center, but
Ben Lammers.
Ben Lammers was the last one I felt confident.
Awesome out of the high post and the elbow area.
I love Ben Lammers.
So tonight the team played 10 guys.
Technically, but
9 played meaningful minutes. Do you think this is a trend that's going to continue from Pastner, where you tend to go deeper, 8, 9, 10 guys, or when you get into ACC play, is that rotation going to shorten up a little bit? You're going to see maybe 7 deep or 8 deep like we have in the past.
I think that the only thing I'd see more coming into ACC play would be a little less Tristan Maxwell, just because he's like the 5th guard.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I can really see is unless Tristan Maxwell just shows more than just that Boston College game last year. That he has to obviously earn the minutes, but if he gets minutes, it's like 3 to 4 maybe a game. That's my guess. If
he's
coming in
he's
ACC
your guard
play,
you're going to if
foul trouble.
Sturdivant if Sturdivant or Davon Smith or Coleman or whoever gets in foul trouble.
That's basically what I see. But the rotation I don't see changing a whole lot because it's working. It gives guys more rest and they're not as tired, and I think later in the season they won't be as tired, and it's not dependent on one guy. This team is the most, I wouldn't say complete team, but it's the deepest team that we've had in a long time. And
because even that team that won the ACC championship
was
several years ago was playing 7 deep.
Yeah,
I mean, you didn't have a lot of guys.
I mean, you played the people who played the most were Alvarado, Usher, and Moses Wright.
Yeah.
And who else? Khalid Moore.
Khalid Moore was on that team. Usher was playing minutes on that team.
Yeah, he was playing minutes, but he wasn't as good as he was last year.
No, but
Bubba.
Do you want to swing to talk about the rest of the ACC for a minute?
I haven't seen what happened in the ACC recently. I saw that
Louisville sucks.
Louisville does suck.
Louisville sucks.
No, I'm sorry. My dad will kill me if I say it wrong. So it's Louisville. I'm sorry, Dad.
Louisville.
It's Louisville.
Louisville sucks.
Yes, they are bad. And let's see. Let's go to ACC basketball scores.
Shout out Ted Nathan, by the way.
Yes, I love you, Ted.
But
yeah, no, Louisville just looks not good. It's very.
I mean, I haven't watched either of the games, to be totally fair. I haven't.
I just looked at this. Florida State lost again.
Florida State lost again.
They lost to UCF. Wow.
Okay.
What happened in that?
I mean, Louisville has lost to 2 teams that they should be blowing out of the gym.
Yeah, and Florida State has lost to 2 teams that they should be blowing out.
And
I mean,
when do you start to worry about teams like Florida State and Louisville? Because I remember the 2020 season, Georgia Tech lost their first 3 games.
Yes.
And then they went ahead and won the ACC championship.
Yeah, I feel like if this, because what happened with Tech was it picked up a lot more coming into like the Christmas time area. So if this is still like a trend around Christmas time, then I feel like that's when you start to panic. But also, we know that you could suck during basically preseason. This is preseason, and be really good in the ACC, or even be pretty bad for the first few games of the ACC and still win the championship. So,
because really all that's going to matter is the tournament.
Yes, that's all that matters, because that gives you your automatic bid.
But that being said, in the ACC, there's hardly ever a team that has a bad regular season that wins the tournament. The ACC is just that. I mean, the ACC is not a conference where you can get hot and run your way through the tournament.
No, because there's so much skill with these top teams, at least.
Yes.
Because we lucked out that one year because we didn't have to play Virginia, and I think it would have been close, but I still think Virginia would have won it. Virginia had such a tough team, and going into that, what people don't realize is like going into the NCAA tournament after having the break because of COVID, they hadn't played in like a week, and they struggled because this other team just came fresh hot off of a conference championship, and they just couldn't do anything. They were tired. And so and plus how the ACC tournament is structured with the top 4 seeds getting automatic quarterfinals, I think it is. Yeah, the top 4 teams automatically get a quarterfinal bid, and that to be able to even get to the championship, you have to play possibly 2 top 4 teams, just in the ACC, which likely is either Duke, North Carolina, Miami this year, I'd say.
All right. Well, that sounds good to me. Is there anything else you got?
I got nothing. This is Talkin Tech Hoops. I think
All
that's
right.
what I'm going to name it. Talkin Tech Hoops.
Cool.
All right.
I'll see you.
Yep. Adios.